Hi, and welcome to episode 7 of ADHD Founder Talking. I'm Michael Jakubiak, founder of The Accent, and I would like to welcome today's guest, Magda Stega. Magda is an openly trans person with over 10 years of HR experience who's a proud TEDx speaker and a trans inclusion consultant. Hi, Magda, how are you?
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having me here. I'm quite good, so very happy to see you. And I'm excited to, talk with you to share my knowledge, my experience, and yeah, I hope to inspire some people.
I hope that too, and I was really looking forward to this podcast today, Magda. What I think our guest needs to know that the words have the power to separate and to include people. So that's why today we're going to discuss the inclusive language for trans and neurodivergent people. And Magda, I think, is the best person to talk about it first. So she can navigate us in this treacherous land of the trans inclusive language and the neuro-inclusive language. Magda, I read on your profile as well, which was a revelation for me, that 48% of youth Gen Z people who identify as a part of LGBTQ community are also transgender or non-binary.
Yeah. And yeah, this is the data from the travel project from the US.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that required that people will respect their preferences, preferences, identity, and they will address the communication in the way that people want to be addressed, right? Because sometimes people are using their assumption, or the gender that was assigned at birth as an excuse. Of course, it's a challenge because sometimes you really don't know. So it's also good to be, as a trans person or a non-binary person, very open about how you want to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
So could you tell me and our audience what it means to be a trans and what it means to be a non-binary?
Yeah. So when I was born, my gender was assigned at male because I was born as a person with a penis. But after many years to living without any reflection, I realized that I could be a trans person because I've met Sophie. She was around 50 years old, and it was in London.
Mm-hmm.
And but before that, I was a cross dresser for 8 years. So it didn't happen, one day I met her and I said, okay, I'm trans. It
Mm-hmm.
was longer process. So, and then when I realized I'm a woman, I was going through transition process, like medical, social, and legal, to
Mm-hmm.
change my name and gender marker at my ID on my ID. But yeah, also I think it's important, not each transgender person is going all three levels of that process. I mean, social, legal, and medical. Um, when we talk about non-binary people, so I don't like to speak behalf of them, but like what I know from my friends, we can say a non-binary person, it's a person who do not identify as a male, non-female.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so it's really also important to remember that it's not only binary, be male or female. So for
Mm-hmm.
example, I'm binary trans female, but also we do have a lot of folks who are non-binary transgender.
Mm-hmm. So what it actually, if someone is non-binary, is transgender, so how you can change the gender and be non-binary?
Yeah, so I mean, like, again, what I see and what I know from friends, it's like, some people even go through the transition. For example, the path that I went from
Mhm,
male to female, at
mhm,
some point they are realizing that they are non-conforming or non-binary. Like non-conforming, it's similar to non-binary.
mhm,
So they feel they don't attach to one gender,
mhm,
and yeah, for them it's like very important to do not be addressed in a way that they don't feel comfortable, right?
mhm,
And also I feel like even for me talking about it, it's quite new. So I
mhm,
feel like everyone in a society need time for understand it. But I think the most important thing is to believe that for those people, for us, it's such important, right?
mhm,
Do not say like, no, I know better, because I've been in a many situations that the people said, I know better because on your ID it was male, so you are male, and it was very hard for me, and I felt very, bad about it. I cried. I really felt bad about it. So it's also very important to remember it's about our emotions, about our
mhm.
lives, and yeah, respect is a basic.
That's very important what you say. So, would you be able to share with us a bit more about your journey, your transition journey? How did you discover it? What challenges you stumbled across? How long was the process?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Of course, I would love to. So I was born in Poland, and as I said, for many years, I didn't thought about it. I thought about myself as a gay person because always I felt attraction to guys, romantically and sexuality. But it didn't work, and I started, let's call it, experiment. And I was living with my friend, and one day she gave me her bra and did for me a makeup because she's makeup artist. And uh, you know I had a thought I would like to create a profile, and we created a profile, and I had a lot of likes, a lot of messages, and step by step I started to explore my femininity, energy, femininity side. I could call it like that, and it was in Poland. So on the beginning, everything was at my apartment, and it was also with a lot of fears.
Mhm,
And I was meeting guys to have sex with them. They identify themselves as a straight mostly, and and I think it's important to say it's not like each path of transgender person. I'm telling my story, right?
mhm. Sure.
So sometimes, yeah, people are thinking about cross-dressing as a fetish, but it could have like different, motivation.
Mhm,
And in my case, like 8 years of doing it, as I said, firstly at my place, an apartment, and then in the UK, in London, where I was living, it gave me, reflection that it's not just, for fun, it's not just for sex, but this is really me. And I came back to Poland from London, and in May 2021, I've just started my transition. I had a lot of fears, but also I was sure that I would like to tell about my story. And I was working as a recruiter, and I built a strong personal brand on LinkedIn, around 20,000 followers, and I said I will inform about the path on LinkedIn. And firstly I posted something from the from the Pride in Krakow, and people really. I felt like people really started supported me. They've sent messages, hearts, and it was amazing because, yeah, it gave me a power that I can go through that, hard, emotional, also hard process, and I'm not alone during the process, right? Of course, it was a lot of challenges, but a funny fact is it was a COVID time, so wearing a mask really helped me go through that first months and year of the transition.
Mhm.
So yeah, and my transition was like very fast because I had sex affirmation surgery in July 2022.
Mhm.
So, like more than a year after that, I started my hormone replacement therapy. So, which means taking hormones.
Mhm.
And yeah, I was sure that I want to go through that process. So in my case, I finished my transition in January at the last year. So
Mhm.
it's like literally an history because I received my ID, the right ID, around, yeah, the 4th of January. I didn't realize it.
Congratulations, Magda, on your transversary.
Yeah, of ID. Thank you very much. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it was very important to have the right ID. Do not explain people on the airport because also it was horrible experience for everyone. Like being asking about why here is a woman and there is a male, and without any privacy on the airport. And
Mhm.
also, I can understand it was hard for the people who are working on the airport because it's their job to make sure that this is the same person.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it was also another challenge. But as I said, I finished it. It's possible to finish it. It's
Mhm.
possible to be happy after that. Um, yeah.
And did you have a chance to like visit your family and friends now, or how does it look like on the family front? If may I ask?
Yeah, so are you asking how my family reacted to the transition?
Yes. Today they are accepting it.
I do have contact with my mother,
Mhm.
and I feel like always it was like that, so nothing changed. But like since 3 years, I think I'm more conscious about what I want to have from life and what is important for me. So, for example, I'm not going anymore to celebrate Christmas with them. I'm meeting from time to time my mother. She is an ally, and she helped me go through the surgeries that I wanted to go through. I'm thinking about one new, but I'm not sure if I will go through that. Um, but yeah, but it's still hard for her. She's like very Catholic, and she really thinking what people will say. But I know she loves me, and as I said, she turned to be an ally. So I'm very grateful to have her support. And also in Poland, it's very important to have support of family because I had to sue, which means bring to the court my own parents, and this is the procedure that it's required if you want to go change your ID. And this is ridiculous because as an adult person, I had to have literally sign of my parents both that I'm a woman. So for so many transgender individuals, it's a blocker to go through that process.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that it works this way. But it's
Yeah.
glad I'm glad to hear that you have a support from your mom. That's very important. That's very important. And
Yeah.
what do you find as a challenge, language wise? Do you find a challenge with your parents out of interest and your friends? Before and after in terms of language, how to talk? What's the
Yeah.
what's the correct terminology? in these treacherous waters of the new language?
I think like we can. I think it's important to say that for the people who know you before and after, it's very important to give them a space for mistakes when we talk about pronouns. Of
Mhm.
course, in ideal world, everyone would be addressed from the beginning on the right pronouns. But what I'm saying by that, like, so when I was born, my parents gave me a name Maciej, and then when I started a transition, I didn't go for Magda, but I've using a name Ma for a first year. So, for example, one of the person that I work with, she said like, you know what, Ma, it was like super important for me because I had time to change my mind.
Mhm.
And she shared it was a challenge for her, not on a way that she didn't accept or she didn't see me as a woman, but on the way that the mind is working. So I think like, and I remember myself, I was like very impatient, and I was very angry when someone was doing a mistake when we talk about pronouns. But from time, I feel like, yeah, it's also very important to give people support, to say like if you have any questions, of course, like educate yourself. It should be on your shoulders, right? Because I can't educate everyone, right?
Sure.
But when we talk about if someone has questions, or don't understand something and really want to support me, that's very important also to say, hi, I'm here. Whenever you need me, you can ask me. And I know sometimes it's not like that. So
Mhm.
and in that case, it's a lot of like discomfort on both sides, because someone who is not experienced with transgender people around,
Mhm.
it could be a challenge. And from me as a trans person, putting pressure on someone, and I was doing it,
Mhm.
uh, it not helping, right? But I see it like, after the process, when I am who I am. And yeah, it's much easier to live like that. Even sometimes also there is a lot of challenges, right? Because yeah, even in cities like Berlin, like I feel like sometimes, yeah, like, yeah, I have a lot of stories to tell. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's we need more time, but I'm very happy that more and more people are open. Like we have a lot of Instagram, influencers who are sharing their stories, and I see we are going on the right direction, but it's required time for people to, be more exposed, to be more experienced with, yeah, with transgender people around.
Mhm. That's I think that's one of the reason why I wanted us to talk today, because I don't have, when I think about it, I've got two cross-dressing friends, but I don't know anyone. Of course, now I know. I didn't know anyone before who's trans, or at least openly trans. And
Yeah,
from the language perspective, when I think I'm neurodivergent and I'm gay, but when we're talking about neurodiversity, very often people refer to this as a disorder or disability, when the actual correct thing, what we're supposed to do if we want to be neuro-inclusive, we're supposed to say that's a condition or a neurological difference. It's like saying as well that uh, people people with autism, or autistic people. And when I say about it, it's, we don't dealing with person with autism. We're dealing with autistic people, or someone who's on autism spectrum, on the autism spectrum. If we're talking about the neurodiversity, what would be the correct language on the trans side?
yeah. Would you mean about like how call a person, like because some people are calling like trans person, transgender person, trans,
Sexual,
yeah, thank you, transsexual. It's hard to pronounce.
transsexual.
Trans, yeah, transsexual. And this is the thing. I don't like the term transsexual. I mean, as long as someone has a good intention, for me it doesn't matter. But I think we've spoke about it. If not, like my first identity as a woman who transitioned, and
Mhm.
this is like sometimes people are thinking, but what that means? I mean, like I'm a woman who transitioned because when I'm saying to people, like especially on dating apps, I'm a transgender woman, that giving a lot of not
Stigma.
stigma and like stigma, yeah, like the wrong assumption about like having a dick, which is not true in my case, right?
Mhm.
And to avoid that, I prefer to say I'm a woman who transitioned.
Mhm.
But I don't know if yeah, what was the question? Could you repeat, please?
Yes, the question was about how to talk about people who are
Yeah,
transgender. What's how to
yeah,
say it politely. So
yeah,
imagine if I would have someone in my team, I would
yeah.
say I've got someone who's trans, or I wouldn't even mention that. I would say we've got an X amount of people, and I wouldn't even touch the fact that someone in the team is trans.
Yeah. I think like depends. If someone is open about it, I think it's okay to say in that way. But like yeah, I think sometimes if you're focusing too much about saying yeah, this person is trans, it's not nice because I prefer to be called Magda, right?
Mhm.
Not like a transgender person. So I think it's really depends on the context and yeah, I think if someone is not open about it and you know about it, I mean, you know about it, you assume about it,
Mhm.
it's not okay to refer in that way because, each of us needs some time to, be ready, or some people will never be ready to, do coming out. So I would more say, as you said, probably that, we have like diverse people, diverse individuals. I really like in English the word individual,
Mhm.
and not so many people are using it. But for me, it's the best to describe that each of us it's different and unique, which for me means like an individual, right?
Yeah, it's very often used in neurodiversity as well. Saying that people are you saying neurodivergent individuals as well.
Yeah.
So I see the resemblance. What's sat in my head as well are the pronouns. That's a
Yeah.
very hot topic. It feels in a corporate world as well. You know,
Yeah.
she, the, they, them. What
Yeah.
to use when, how.
Yeah. Yeah. So again, I think like if you don't feel like that you're ready to share, do not do it. But like it's very important to do it. Like especially when we talk about managers, because they are leading at teams and they are an example for other people, right? So I'm always very happy when after the workshops with me, like people are, for example, putting the pronouns on LinkedIn or email signature. So I'm sharing by my life examples that when I started to use a name Ma and were saying to people, "Hi, my name is Magda. My pronouns are she, her," and like after saying it 100 times, and as I said, like people laugh at me. People, said like questions like, "Is it coming from Chinese language? What is it? Why are you using it?" I felt like really bad about it, and even right now in Polish language, like Magda, for people it's sure that it's she, her, so I'm always repeating it, right? Because I know how hard it was for me. So I can emphasize. It's also
Mhm.
with people because I know how important it was for me, and from the person that it's obvious for you that you are using pronouns he him. When you will start a conversation and say, "Hi, my name is Michael and my pronouns are he him," then you're giving a clear signal for the people who are non-binary or transgender that we can be ourselves around you, or people who are non-conforming, and that's a lot. Do not for you do not cost you a lot, but for us, when we went through a lot of shit, say straightforward, those small things, they can sometimes save our lives, or change our mood and give a hope. There are people who are more mindful, who are more conscious, who are supporting us, right? So
Mhm.
if you as an employer would like to build an inclusive workplace, it's super important to remember about the pronouns. But as I said, um, people, as long as they don't meet any transgender person or non-binary person, they are not conscious about it, right? Because sometimes I'm asking like people in a dating context. So what about your pronouns? Like on my profile, I have a question like, please tell me your name and your pronouns. And I'm very happy because more and more people are really understand. And after asking them about it, I hope that will at some point be conscious that it's important for some people, and for them it's not a big cost, right?
Mhm. So just to summarize this part, so basically, if we put our pronouns to our name, that's a give a signal to transgender community that we're inclusive, that we are trans inclusive, and we understand and we understand your community. That's like a open arms. We know, come here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you said it's great. Yeah, yeah.
Beautiful. And your
But
diversity.
one more thing, you're living in the UK, I'm living in Berlin, so we are meeting people from all over the world. Like, and for example, I don't know Asian names, right? So sometimes it's also very important for not only for transgender people, but like for international people to understand the name which pronounce is connected with, right? Because I mean, like some European names I know, and it's for me obvious. But even in that case, some people can use the pronouns they them. So it's again very important to confirm and be conscious about it, right? So
Yeah.
it's for more cases, not just for transgender and non-binary people.
Mhm. I see one thing. So in Polish language, you can very easily distinguish if someone is a female or a male by the name. We just know if the name is finished with a, it will be a female. Just a rule,
Mhm.
language rule, and but that's it's only in Polish. So I see in England. I see the difference that you've got plenty of names which could be either in the same time male and a female.
Yeah.
And sometimes I see your pain when I look at the candidate's profile, and I see not like it matters, but sometimes in a communication, like you want to speak to someone, it's important to know it makes the conversation easier as well. So I see that why it is important as well from the language perspective as well.
And Michael, it's one question. So I'm saying always to recruiters that I'm working with during the workshop, start with yourself and make sure, like, confirm the name and pronounce with a person. It's one sentence, but it can change everything.
Yeah, I will remember that. So I will add now the pronouns to my to my signature, so it's all on a daily basis. You're dealing with different clients and different businesses daily, and as a diversity consultant and focus on trans inclusion as well. What do you find as a like the biggest pinpoints with either with the companies in terms of being trans inclusive? What's the biggest challenge the company faces, or what's the first thing that everyone should look at?
Yeah, I think like often companies are saying we don't have anyone who is transgender, but I'm always sharing the data. So if you want to include everyone, and this is not true, like so many people are in a closet, so many people, you know, yeah, they are afraid, because I had a lot of conversation that people were saying, okay, I'm only trans masculine person, and for example I don't I don't want to do coming out to people because I'm afraid like everyone will ask me those questions, like what I like, with whom I'm sleeping, what I have in my pants, because often people are starting with very intimate questions, and people who are only trans in in one company, they don't want to go through. It's different with me because it's like intentionally my work in
Yeah,
my mission, right? Um, yeah, so I think often companies are not allocating enough time, and they are contacting me, for example, when they have someone who said, "Hey, I've just started my transition and I need help with the communication." So this is like very often case. Recently, like I've been contacted by few companies. You know what? We have trans employees, and then I'm doing for them a webinar for the whole company, some workshop for managers. But it shouldn't be like that. It should be in ideal world like before, right? And someone will feel like, yeah, this is the company that I can be myself. Of course, it's better to and help them with communication and with workshops, but I believe it's better step by step, create a culture where trans individuals will apply. So if we talk that company do not have like trans employees, so what you can do, you can check your recruitment or job ads and see what is the language that you are using. If you are inviting everyone from underrepresented groups, not only transgender individuals, but people of color, as you said,
neurodivergent.
yeah, thank you, neurodivergent people, and everyone who is somehow marginalized, right?
Mhm.
Um, and make sure that it's not only about job ads, but also the language that people are using. For example, it's also very important to give workshop and time to managers, because if HR is conscious and HR is using it, and then the hiring manager who is contacting a person will not remember about those things, if I will apply somewhere, I will not be interested to work in a company with a manager who is not conscious about it, because it's me and this is important for me, right? And I know that I don't want to, accept uh, less that I deserve.
Yeah, that make absolute sense. Well, I think from the perspective of inclusion and language. So, do you have numbers related to trans? So, for example, from the neurodiversity point of view or neurodivergence, we've got in UK there is 6 million adults who are neurodivergent.
Yeah.
We also know that 50% of us in general population don't know we are neurodivergent, so that's a challenge for employers from the inclusion point of view. Sorry, from the inclusion point of view,
Yeah.
because they need to deal with people who process information totally different, but they don't know about it. So,
Yeah.
that's a challenge with neurodiversity. And
Yeah.
have you got any numbers related to trans community in the workplace? How does it look like?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have like some I mean like I've heard about some data which is like less than 1% of population people who are transgender, but I will not agree with that. Like it's the same like when I'm saying like how many people from LGBT plus community we have, like, and I know how many straight guys I've met before I've transitioned. So those situations are reminding me there are a lot of people who will never say they are not straight or cis because they are scared about how society will react. They are scared that they will lose their jobs, etc. So, but also we have like from McKinsey the data that like uh, each as like more than half of transgender people who are at the workplace, they are not feeling comfortable to be out, right? So this is very scary data for me, right? Because being yourself in the case of being a transgender person, it's a basic, right? So imagine situation you have to pretend you are a girl each day and you don't feel it at all, right? And but you are doing it, so how would you feel about it, right? So I feel there is a lot of things to do by employees. And according to the question that you've asked, unfortunately, I feel like we are overwhelmed with everything at workplace, and the topic it's not important as long as people are not scared, like employees are not scared that they will lose the employee who is transgender, right? And in that case, then they are doing something to, um, do not lose that person, right?
Sorry.
All good.
Mm. If you think like, what's the most common mistake you came across the employers or hiring managers or managers do towards trans communities? What could be improved or could be looked at?
Mm. Um, yeah. Yeah, I think like the common mistake it's like sometimes people who are not experienced, they are I don't know, super scared to start a conversation, and to so they are avoiding a conversation, and this is the worst scenario because in that case, and like I believe everyone would like to feel be listened, uh, respected, and feel important. So if you are a manager and you are not experienced, there are a lot of resources, like free resources, like, or people like me who can give you a few tips how to start the conversation. Already in that conversation someone could find it, right? And I feel it's about asking and saying, like, I'm not experienced, but I'm here for you, right? And that changing a lot because I don't expect that someone went through transition, right? What I've learned, it's everything after the transition. Before that, I didn't know anything about being transgender, right? So this is my life and experience working with companies. So yeah, I feel like not avoiding conversation and be around. That's a lot, and still do not like majority of people are avoiding conversation because they are scared.
And did you find like have you been employed while you've been transitioned? So have you been
No.
no? And did you find a difference in terms of how you deal with employers before and after the transition?
Um, I'm in general more confident after the transition, so um, I don't see like, to be honest, I don't know, that I think, yeah, like because I'm more confident, I'm more myself, so that's, working better for me. But I mean, like, I will never work with a company or people who are transphobic or homophobic, everyone who is like discriminate anyone. So it's also very important for me to make sure that the company that I'm working with, it's aware of it, that everyone is equal. Um, yeah, I mean, like, maybe sometimes when I'm working with cis straight guys, I feel like it's kind of, how to say,
Mm.
they are fascinated by me, which which I'm feeling working. It's a good for me, but like I'm not crossing the border. It's like, business situations, so smiling, have eye contact, and it's good. So yeah, I'm aware that I'm beautiful, and I think also it's changing for them, like, perspective, because like, I've heard it like during the dating apps, like if someone were is in a relationship since like 10 years, and that person is with a cis woman, like 10 years ago didn't have chance to be with a transgender person. So this is also for me and my community, it's very important that those people change their minds, that we are a woman and they are attracted to us, and because 10 years ago they didn't have an opportunity, so they are not in relationship with a trans woman.
Mm.
So this is very important for me to see that hope. And yeah.
Beautiful. And you mentioned one more thing in terms of language. You mentioned cis men, cisgender men. What
Yeah.
is this? So
Yeah.
what? So how does it work? So I know now. I check. I'm a cisgender man, but so you're so in this nomenclature. I'm a
Yeah.
cisgender man, and you're
I am transgender woman.
all right.
So cisgender is means biologically male or female.
Mhm,
So I will be never biologically woman.
mhm,
Um, and I think this is also very important to accept that fact, because on the beginning when I started, compare myself to a cis woman, on some like levels or areas I felt like bad, or not enough good. But yeah, I like some differences, that, for example, I don't have a period, which is amazing. I mean, like, I don't know how it will be have a period, but, and also, I can be pregnant. So, for the guys that I'm meeting, if they didn't want to have a child, it's also amazing. So, it's good to try to see that topic in a way that you didn't see it on the beginning, right? Because it will not change, right? My body could change, but like the fact that I'm a cis woman, I will never be.
Mhm. There is a 3 to 5 times more people who are transgender are neurodivergent, and I think that's why also we were talking today. One of the reasons, and I just want to think: is there any adjustment that employers can do outside of the pronouns to make a life easier for people like you?
Hmm.
If you would need to tell them one thing, what would that be?
I think the most important thing is respect, because again, I felt like in so many situations, people like the respect that is coming from your heart, so that you are really want to know a person and to make sure that that person is, safe.
Mhm.
And this is, we are together creating the environment where everyone can be themselves, right? And
Mhm.
this sounds very simple, but I think this is the um, what employer should guarantee to each employee if they want to, if they want to create for them a safe space where they can be themselves.
Mhm. So when we think from the perspective of ERGs, so employee resource groups, do we think it should be done separately for trans people, separate for gay people, separate for neurodivergent, or it should be like a one group separated from neurotypicals?
I'm not a person to decide, but what I saw during working, majority of employee resource group are focused on LGBT plus, LGBTQ plus issues. At some companies, they have like additional for transgender and non-binary people. But I think this is very important to have a balance when we talk about, workshop activities, because often people are saying, "Oh, so we have employee resource group and we have majority of gay people, so we are happy to invite trans person to have a workshop." But I think it's important to also, because like even in our community, Michael, I've experienced discrimination. I experienced like, you know people make laugh of me on the beginning of my transition, unfortunately. So I feel like, um, I feel like it's very important to that education part, to explain to people, what it means to be a transgender and where is it coming from, and how they can, support. Of course, like it's going like two ways, right? But you see, like we are talking in some countries since 30 years about being gay, and in countries like Poland, we do not still have equal marriage for people from the same gender. And to be honest, I can't imagine living 30 years more and do not feel fully myself. Like I really can't. I mean, like 30 years, that's a lot. And this is also the thing why I've decided to live in Berlin, because, compared to Poland, I feel like, yeah, but it's different topic. So I'm starting to going.
You probably feel it's probably, what, on this note I can tell you. So I never planned to live in the UK, but when I moved in here, I finally see what it means to feel safe as a gay
Yeah,
person, and it's the sense of security. Like until you actually start living in the country which care for people like we, you then realize what it means to be yourself when you don't need to worry about whose hand you're holding or what dress you're wearing. That's very important. I just have one last question before we finish. I would like to hear a bit more about your TEDx speakings, about your TEDx experience. So I know you're TEDx speaker. If you can tell a bit more about this, what you talk about,
yeah,
how have you been invited, how did it go?
yeah. Yeah, sure. Thank you for that question. So it's been a long journey to prepare. Firstly, I was thinking that I will talk about femininity.
Mm.
So the topic changed, like, but how it works in, according to preparation. So firstly, I had a meeting with a team, and I shared with them who I am, what I'm doing with companies, and I think we had around 2 or 3 meetings that, I was thinking in a bullet point what I would like to tell. And like, I always want to tell as much as I can. So it's too many things I would like to share.
Yeah.
And like what I can tell, like TED preparation gave me that clarity that it's one idea and I'm talking about one idea and I'm giving, for example, two, three stories about that main idea. And there on the end is a time for conclusion, for, um, takeaways for people who are listening to it, right?
Mhm.
So it's been a few months of preparations. Firstly, when I've finally decided that it will be how small actions can have a big impact on trans community,
Mhm.
we've worked with like two, three people on delivery on content, and yeah, it's been amazing experience to learn, be in my case more concrete and going around one idea. Also, majority, I had like one piece of paper with notes, but everything I've said from the memories, right? So it was a training of you know talking to people. In my case, it was 10 minutes. I want to go shorter, but like concrete.
Mhm.
And it was like also very personal. So people really appreciate the part of showing emotions, showing who I am, where I coming from, and also like this is amazing to sharing with potential clients to have new speaking engagement, new workshops, new clients. So and this is also a big brand behind on you. If you're
Yeah.
saying you're a TEDx speaker, like people mostly saying, "Wow, she is like she knows what she's doing," because ginger. I mean, like I'm talking about my TED speech, like even on a queue to KitKat. I don't know what if you know what KitKat it is, but
Mhm.
if people don't know, it's like the most. I mean, like it's super famous sex positive club in Berlin. So I'm meeting there in a queue people from different countries, and they are just sharing my TED talk if they want to know me better, my story. So this is very good invitation to tell people who you are. So if someone want to hear it, yeah, you're more than welcome to check it out.
Beautiful. Magda, I think we're coming to an end. It was
Yeah.
lovely speaking to you. What I will take, my biggest intake from this, which I would like to share with with our audience, is if you are trans inclusive, the first step you can do is just to add your pronouns to your name. Simple thing which you can do, but will give an indication to people like Magda that you think about trans communities. So that's my first intake. From first, the most important intake each of you can take and change now. And thank you very much for this lovely conversation. It was lovely speaking to you. Lovely to hear your story. Lovely to hear your insights. And hopefully, we'll have a chance to speak again soon. Thank
Thank
you
you
very
very much, Michael, and see you soon. Ciao.
much. Soon. Bye bye.
If you think you or your child may have ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, start by taking an online self assessment or by speaking to a GP. Thanks for tuning in to ADHD Founder Talking. At ND Axon, we're breaking down barriers to help neurodivergent individuals thrive in the workplace and in life. We offer an inclusive app and support businesses in developing a more inclusive workplace. Visit ndaxon.com to learn more about our mission, podcast, community, and how to get in touch with Michael himself. Together, let's create a world that celebrates neurodiversity and empowers everyone to achieve their dreams.